Hey, do you like talking about houses? Because we're going to talk about a couple ranch houses that were sent in by viewers to get opinions about how to solve some problems they're having with the look of their house. Hey, welcome back to 3-Minute House Review. I'm Archer, and today we're going to look at a couple ranch houses that were sent in on a website, actually on the Facebook page. Paint can be the cheapest way to alter your architecture, and a little bit of creative painting can really save something that's difficult and turn it into something that's great. Officially, ranch houses started in the 30s, although you don't really see a bunch of them until the 50s and 60s after the war, when there was a lot of building of neighborhoods going on. So ranch houses, if you remember my massing video that I did about understanding architecture, ranch houses really generally are one level. They can be more than one level, but they generally have living kind of easy on one level, and they're generally sideways to the street. They came about when people moved out of the cities. They had cars, they could commute, they wanted more land, they wanted a more suburban lifestyle. So ranch houses were a reaction to that. So here's a typical suburban ranch style house. You can see it's got one big roof that covers everything. Often the front door is really set back into it. The garage is usually a part of the design. Now, over the years then, ranches have also come in other forms. So the split level, that's often a ranch house. And so that's where you enter on one level, and then you have kind of the kitchen living room. And then upstairs, you would have bedrooms. And then downstairs underneath that would be probably a TV room or sometimes a garage. So the issue with that is a lot of times designers took what worked in a one-level ranch, and then they just did a split level on it, but some of the things didn't really work out. And one of the things that doesn't work out often is bedroom windows. So ranch houses are one of the first times we see that people doing a window schedule really based on furniture and the interior of the house as opposed to the exterior look of the house. Because ranches never need to be symmetrical, because you have the garage on one end, usually a big plate glass window, then kind of the bedroom sides. So having high windows lets you put beds wherever you want. And that's great, right? And it also gives you privacy, especially if you're on one level. People can be right outside of your window, and you don't want them to feel like you're being seen in the most private of rooms, right? What happens is we get these high windows, and then when you do a split level, so you end up with that high window now being on the second floor or the 1.5 floor, right? So it's even higher, so it looks even stranger, and that's really problematic for a lot of people. Here's our first house today. I don't know where this house is. This is somebody sent it to me, and they were like, what about this area here? It doesn't feel right. I mean, the rest of the house, we have this kind of, this is brick, actually. I don't have a very good resolution picture because this is off Facebook. So we have brick here. We have a red brick kind of style roof. We have brick under here. We have some white trim, and then we have this yellow area with the bedroom windows. And these are pretty recent, like vinyl windows. What can be done to make this feel a little more balanced? So paint. Paint is like your first thing. Colors, you can really send things. Like right now, the yellow says, I am very important. Well, when you look at it, it doesn't actually pan out to be all that great to look at because of all the imbalance. Like this window doesn't take up half the wall. It takes up slightly less than half the wall. Like you could have another window here. So it just doesn't. And also these are calling out for attention underneath, even though they're kind of like under the bed. They're like the monster under the bed. So what do we do for this house? I'm going to say paint. Paint's your first go-to, and here's my idea. Boom, pretty easy. I think I chose kind of a plum from the roof color here. I just dimmed down the windows and dimmed down this whole thing, and now all of a sudden it just relates as kind of a unit. Before it was broken because it was yellow and red, which don't super relate well together, the brick and the yellow. So in this case, I mean, you might think it's boring, and you can do any color really. Just look at the tone of the color, look how dark it is. That's what I'm really pointing to here, and also darkening the windows so they're not quite as bright, but you don't have to do that. You don't need to be scared to paint vinyl windows. Yes, the manufacturer will say avoids the warranty if it gets too much sun, but it has to get so much sun, and they have to be painted so dark to actually get the damage that in my experience, you can choose darker windows either from the factory or paint them, especially if they face north. I mean, that's a slam dunk, right? Paint your windows. If they face north and you're in the northern hemisphere and they're not gonna ever see the sun, paint them whatever color you want. So that's my idea here. It's pretty straightforward. Tone down these windows. It kind of gives more attention to this part of the house. I think I also brought in whatever color. If you did a red or a plum in this case, find the equivalent color in green, like the tone, and then tie that in as an accent. That's an easy hit too. So we got a lot of, basically a brick colored house now with some green or blue accents that tie it back. All right, I hope that's helpful. So next, this one, I know this one's at Oklahoma. That's all I know about it. And man, this picture is like, I need sunglasses for this picture. This is like, it's intense. It's blown out. There's no refuge here. There's only one spot to hide, right? We're right in there just to get out of the sun, or maybe under this tree. That'd be a fun place to hide, that little tree. All right, this house. So this is solidly a ranch house, but like we've talked about, once you do a split level, and this is going to be your living room entry, the kitchen's probably on the back, there's probably a bedroom, probably 3 bedrooms upstairs, maybe 4, 3 bedrooms and a nice bathroom, and then the garage is down here. In this case, everything, and I don't have great resolution photo, everything is the same color. The gutters are the same color, the trim board is the same color. The only thing that's not the same color here is this wall, which is brighter, and then these shutters, which obviously are not real shutters, and normally, I don't know how I feel about those. I think in this case, they kind of accentuate the longness, right? There's a lot that's accentuating the longness on this ranch house. There's a lot, that's what ranch houses are about. In this case, because you bumped up half the house, now your high windows are really, really high. What can be done? So I'm gonna say paint. Like paint's the easy thing, right? So I just went ahead and repainted the house. I repainted the base of the house. So this is brick and this is brick, but there's no reason they have to be the same color. I think it's already been painted once. Paint it. So that's one idea, right? That's not changing very much. Already it feels differently. Like now we don't have this massive amount of color from the windows down. It makes it more of a reasonable size. Also, this color is like, I think this is actually the yellow just in a darker tone. So it's actually the same color. When you look up here at what the shadow wants to be, that's pretty close to what this is. So that's my first idea, right? So that's just a little bit of intervention. Let's go to the next one. Next one, wow. So now I brought a total darker color. It still relates to the roof because this plum color still relates to green, like green and red are complementary colors. I went a lot darker. It minimizes the mass of the house. And that's really what you want to do. When you feel like your house is too massive or some part of your house is just sticking out too much, is darken it down, right? Black dress is always more slimming than a white dress. So, but then in this case, I put a lighter color underneath. And I think that really is, I'm just going to show you several different schematics and we can see what the difference is, right? So basically same house, same everything, and I just brought this out and I also have dark frames around here it gives you a little bit more of a shadow line. So one thing this house really lacks is a lot of depth. I said there's no place to hide in this house, right? Like when I was talking about it at first, because there's not a lot of relief. There is that little crook where the front door is. That's a little nook, and then you're kind of down below with these steps. But adding a little bit of exaggerated trim makes this feel more like a shadow line and makes the garage doors feel like they're set back a little bit more, and that really helps to give you a little bit more of a depth to the house. Like the house has variety. That's what you want. You want more variety because this yard and house didn't have much at first. All right, ready for the next one? So on this one, I took the idea of just going with a green, and I think this is actually the same green. It's all the same green, but I brought a accent stripe, right? I went up here and saw what basically color does this look like when the shadow is on it. And then I just went across. Now, the roof is kind of green. I think it's, so in this case, the darker color is great. I also painted the gutters dark, so we have a little bit more of shadow lines. It just feels like there's a little more variety. So gutters being dark, we already have the shutters, which is nice. And then this line says, oh, something else happens. There's maybe a shadow here, but we don't know what that shadow is, but it definitely just adds a little bit. Also, it just, the yard, there's so much of this color green that on the very first one, you can see here, there's not a lot of difference between the yard and this is a very yellow green, and this is a very yellow, and then this is very white, and this is more, there's just a lot of like bleached out colors in this scene. So going to this is a really refreshing to me, right? And it also helps the house be a little bit smaller by being a little darker. All right, last one, I'm just gonna give one more, which is like adding this, just adding this, which I tried to, and I'm not great at Photoshop, but I tried to kind of capture the color, a little bit of the color of the roof, so that this feels like if you squint and look at this, it looks like maybe there's a roof here and then this is a shadow under the roof, right? So you're giving more relief. That's what this house needs. It needs relief. Seriously, like if I just squint at it, when I look at it, it looks like this is another roof section. It's getting sunlight. This is a shadow underneath that. Then the more dark, the dark bits that I painted here, plus the darkness of the gutters, it really just gives you a feeling of like the eaves are a little bit bigger and there's a little bit more interest. Now, I told you at the beginning, like the yard also doesn't have any refuge, right? What I would do if this house were mine is from the sidewalk, and I assume we're standing on the sidewalk, there's no foreground, middle ground, background to this house, right? Like there's just the yard and the house, boom, you hit it. So I would, and I think from your profile picture, Mr. who sent this in to me, I think you have kids. So you might have a great backyard and it may have everything you need for your kids, but it would be nice to have social space out here too. And you can reclaim this. This is yours. You own this space, right? Just because it doesn't feel comfortable doesn't mean it can't be, and it doesn't mean you have to maintain it just for the neighbors. So if you're already at this height, I would look into maybe reconfiguring these steps so when you walk out of this porch, you can actually take a right and then have a nice patio out here. And you could even build an extension, like maybe kind of a log trellis that goes out that kind of shades this wall a little bit, gives you a place to put your chairs, then do a low wall towards the sidewalk, then do some plants in front of that. So it gives the house more depth from the sidewalk. Instead of just running until you hit the house, basically, which is how it is now, you would actually like first come to maybe some bushes, then maybe a little low wall or something that separates a social area with some chairs. Then you finally hit the house. So it kind of stacks it, and that really adds interest. So let's just switch back and forth. So this is how it was, and this is what I guess this is what I recommend, although I think any of these interventions are going to be fine for this house, and they definitely take away the accent, the reflection, the sunburn you can get from the sun reflecting off this big section. Holy smokes, that's bright. All right, thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed our little ranch rescues. That's what it is, the ranch rescues. Send in pictures, put pictures on that Facebook page I told you about, and if I like them, if I think I can help, I will definitely make a video about it. All right, thanks for joining me. I'm Archer. This is 3 Minute House Review. Join me next time.